can thank him today for giving you what you need. You don't have a whole lot of extra stuff, but you thank God that he supplies Won't he do it? Won't he do it? Somebody here today don't know how you made it, but God stepped in and made a way for you. He'll supply your every need. You got more months than you got money, but every month you make it anyhow. God will step in and supply your every need. Somebody say you just that kind of God. Somebody says, how do you get that? Seek ye first the kingdom of heaven and its righteousness and all that other stuff. Y'all go down and praise the Lord. Y'all give us some music. Y'all mind praising it for just about 10 seconds? Can we take a praise break for just about 10 seconds? The redeemed of the Lord ought to say so. Anybody in here today been redeemed? Then you ought to say so. Amen. 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 We want to conclude a message that we started on last Sunday, dealing with Zacchaeus, Luke chapter 19. Luke chapter 19. again beginning at verse number 1. Amen. Amen. Luke chapter 19, beginning at verse number 1. And Jesus entered and passed through Jericho, and behold, there was a man named Zacchaeus, which was the chief among the publicans, and he was rich. And he sought to see Jesus, who he was, and could not for the press, because he was little of stature. And he ran before, climbed up into a sycamore tree to see him, for he was to pass that way. And when Jesus came to the place, he looked up and saw him, and said unto him, Zacchaeus, make haste and come down, for today I must abide at thy house. And he made haste and came down and received him joyfully. And when they saw it, they all murmured, saying that he was gone to be guest with a man that is a sinner. And Zacchaeus stood and said unto the Lord, Behold, Lord, half of my goods I give it to the poor, and if I have taken anything from any man by false accusation, I restore him fourfold. And Jesus said unto him, This day is salvation come to this house, for so much as he is also is a son of Abraham. For the Son of Man is come to seek and to save that which was lost. Amen. Again, we're talking about seeing Jesus when you come up short. Seeing Jesus when you come up short. We discussed last week that Zacchaeus was a hated man. Nobody liked him. Nobody wanted to be around him. They despised Zacchaeus because he was a Jew hired by the Roman government to collect taxes. And not only did he collect what was owed, but he added unlevied taxes to every one of the Jews. He took more than what was owed. Zacchaeus was rich, not from salary, but he was rich from thievery. He had stolen from his own people, and they despised him. They hated him. Nobody liked Zacchaeus. Not only was he a tax collector, but Zacchaeus was a short man. The word says that he was short in stature. He had little man syndrome. He had short man syndrome. He was a little bitty fellow. Word says that he heard that Jesus was coming by. I don't know how he got the news, but he heard that Jesus wanted to come by and wanted to see him for who he was. Don't know if it was for the right reason, but he wanted to see him for who he was. But the Bible said that he got in the crowd, and that's just what the crowd wanted him, because they could abuse him, they could misuse him, they pushed him around, they hit him every chance they got. And it said that they would not allow Zacchaeus to see Jesus. Where it says that he ran ahead of the crowd, climbed up in a sycamore tree, and waited for Jesus to pass by. That's when we left off last week. He's short. He's small. And small people, I discovered, are not always 5'2". There's some people like me who are 6'3", but who are still small. Some folk can't get away from how they were raised. God has blessed them with a plenty. They have a lot, but in their mind, they're still back in the country drawing water from a well. Their mind is small. There's some folk in Mount Moriah think that we're still on Village Creek. The mind is small.
There you go.
Small. And we're not allowed them to move forward or enjoy their success because they are small-minded. Zacchaeus is short, small in stature, but for whatever reason, he wants to see Jesus. He is prevented from doing so due to the crowd. That's why you got to be careful what crowds you hang out with. Because the crowd can keep you from seeing Jesus. You were raised right. You just got with the wrong crowd. You made some bad choices, some bad decisions, because instead of listening to your mama, instead of listening to your daddy, you listened to the crowd. But when you got in trouble, that same crowd that led you astray left you out there by yourself. How many know you got to be careful what crowd you hang with? The saggy pants, dope smoking crowd ain't going nowhere. As a matter of fact, you can determine many times the nature of the crowd by the size of the crowd. That crowd that ain't going nowhere, not trying to become anything or anybody, will most of the time be the largest and the biggest crowd. But typically, they will also be the loudest and the rudest crowd. But that crowd that's trying to go somewhere, trying to be somebody, not everybody wants to be a part of that crowd. So it's smaller, it's not loud, it's not rude, does not need a whole lot of attention. Young people, that's the crowd you ought to want to hang out with. The one that's dressing nice. By that I mean they keep their pants pulled up and their dresses pulled down. That crowd that stays after school for tutoring and extra crowd. Get with the right crowd. There's a crowd of folk in here that if you hang around with them too long, they will stop you from seeing Jesus. The same folk in the crowd that day. Some of those same folk are right here in Mount Moriah today. They always hold your past against you. They won't ever let you forget what you used to do and what you used to be. Every time you try to move forward, they bring up what you used to be. Text says he runs ahead of the crowd, climbs up. He runs ahead and goes up. He goes ahead of the crowd and climbs up a tree. He gets away from what is hindering his line of sight to see Jesus. And I wonder today, what is it that's hindering you from seeing Jesus? Not only what is it, but who is it that you need to get away from? You need to run in the opposite direction. What is it or who is it that has you so bad that you cannot and will not see Jesus for yourself? And I've come to the conclusion that I'll let nobody separate me from the love of God. Listen, if I have to go by myself, I'll go all by myself. I ought to have somebody on my side that feels like I do. That if mama don't go, if daddy don't go, if sister, brother don't go, how many can agree with me that if I have to go by myself? Zacchaeus gets ahead, climbs the tree. Jesus gets to where he is, looks up and says to him, come down. Says you're too high for me to use you. And that's the plight of some church folk. They're too good. Some of y'all are too high up. Some of y'all sophisticated folk. Don't want to be part of nothing in the church. Child, I love to hear Pastor Turner sing and preach, but them folk, other folk out there, they just too ghetto for me. Well, why don't you bring some of your grace and some of your elegance into the mix? Bring your skills and your knowledge, and maybe we can change some things around here. Many of us are too high up for God to use us. Always talking about what the church needs and what the church needs to do, but don't do nothing to offer to make it happen. I guess those other folk telling me, Pastor, we need to do this. Pastor, we need to do that. But they will not help you do anything. But always want to tell you what you need to do. Zacchaeus, you're too high up. Get in a hurry and come down. Come down, you self-righteous prophet. Come down, you overzealous Sunday school teacher. Come down, you holier than thou preacher. Because if we were honest in here today, every one of us in here today come up short. I wish I had some honest folk in here today. I don't care how good you think you are. Maybe you didn't do it. Maybe you didn't do what I did. But the Bible says, if you thought, so a man thinketh, so is he. Any honest folk in here like me sometimes, you find yourself thinking some stuff you ought not be thinking. I wish I had some honest folk in here. Oh, come on. You know if the right sister walk by, that's got the right shape, and got the right look, and got the right clothes on, and your mind goes to thinking about what you used to would do. Because for some of us, that's all we can do is think about what we used to do. Not just me. But sisters as well. You know that brother that's got the right build, the right look, the right height, and you go thinking about what you could do with him and with him. How many know that all of us come up short? I wish I had a witness in here today. How many other folk would admit to being short today? Listen, if you could stand and didn't stand, you're a liar and the truth is not in you. All of us in here come up short sometimes. Not one, not a few, but all of us have sinned, and sin that comes short of the glory of God. Listen, I do the best I can, but I still come up short. I woke up this morning with my mind stayed on Jesus, but before night comes, I'll come up short. I wish I had a witness in here. I try my best, do the best I can in service, but I still come up short. Anybody feel like me? Anybody honest enough to admit, Pastor, I'm doing the best I can, but I fall short. Pastor, I'm praying every night and every day, but I still fall short. I wish I had some short folk in here today that don't mind stand up and let your neighbor know that I come up short. I fall short. Any short folk in here today that don't mind somebody else knowing that I'm still struggling and straining, doing the best I can, but I still But listen, I'm shouting today. Because just like he stopped